If you're anything like me, you've been eyeing the latest Pottery Barn trend taking over the internet. And honestly, it's easy to see why. That warm, honey-toned finish just brings a cozy, effortless charm to any space. But honestly, the price can be hard to justify. So when I came across these solid wood dressers on Facebook Marketplace, I knew it was my chance to get that high-end Pottery Barn look without the high-end price tag. Hi everyone, welcome to the Country Craftsman channel. Today we're diving into a fun and satisfying project, stripping down this beautiful dresser and transforming it into something straight out of a designer magazine. You've probably seen tutorials on how to create a Pottery Barn dupe, but if you ask me, fake wood look just doesn't cut it. So instead, we're going for the real deal at the same budget-friendly price. I scored both of these pieces at a local estate sale for just $150. When you compare that to these similar pieces on Pottery Barn's website, we're off to a great start. First things first, I grabbed this $5 carbide from my local hardware store and got to work scraping that dated orange finish off. If you've ever spent any time sanding off a clear coat, you know it's a slow and painful process. But let me tell you, this tool made it so much faster and easier. Would you look at that? There's that gorgeous natural wood grain we've been looking for. Once I was done with the top, it was time to take out the drawers and flip this thing on its side. Now, if I had to choose between this scraper or an orbital sander, I would probably pick this thing every time. It just made the whole process so much faster and easier. It didn't make any noise and it was easy to clean up. And at $5, it's really hard to justify not picking this thing up, especially if you've got more than one piece to refinish. You can see here, I'm also going around the edges just to make sure I can get as far as I can along this process without using the sander. It definitely takes a couple passes in order to get everything off, but within 5 minutes I had one side completely sanded off. Once the scraping was done, I went over everything with my detail sander, working my way up to a smooth 220 grit finish. Next up, it was time for the paint wash. I grabbed my favorite chalk paint from Joanna Gaines' Magnolia Homes collection, and mixed up this paint wash by diluting in about 75% water. After a good mix, it was time to start brushing it on. Now, the key here is to brush with the grain. I'm working in small sections and immediately wiping back the excess with a clean shop rag. Since I was working in the middle of the winter, the paint wash started setting faster than I thought, so I had to adjust, stopping about halfway through each section to wipe it back before it dried too much. Here you can see my wife step in just to see how things were going. If I had to do this again, I would probably water down the paint wash just a little bit more and go over it in 2 lighter passes instead of 1 heavy pass. But that being said, you live, you learn. Here I was going around all the nooks and crannies with my brush, making sure I've got even coverage before I go over and wipe back the paint. This whole process took about 30 minutes, but honestly it flew by. Just from the sheer amount of fun that I was having going around painting this thing, I really couldn't wait to see the finish, and I think it turned out pretty well. Once the body was done, I moved on to the drawers, repeating the same process, painting with the grain and quickly wiping back any excess. Now, I gotta be honest, the color came out a little lighter than I was hoping for, but I trusted the process and kept moving forward. After everything was dry, I gave it a light scuff sand with 180 grit to smooth out the finish, then broke out my paint sprayer. Here I'm using Minwax's Satin Polyacrylic. It's my secret for protecting the piece from dings and scratches while bringing out that rich, natural wood tone that we're going for. As I sprayed, you could really see the wood come to life, taking on that slightly darker, more refined look that we were going for. If you're doing this at home, you don't have to use a sprayer. You can get the same great look and protection by using a simple foam brush. After 3 coats, sanding lightly between each one, it was time for the final touch: hardware. I loved how this piece looked with its original hardware, and I was torn between painting it black or restoring it to its original gold, but in the end, I decided to keep that beautiful natural patina. I think there's just something about it that makes it look so authentic. With all the drawers back in place, it was time to style. I started with this faux olive tree I got on Amazon just to add a little height to the space. Next, I placed this tall picture frame I had lying around to create some visual balance. To add even more layers, I stacked 2 of my favorite cookbooks and placed this vintage camera on top, because every piece needs a little charm. Finally, I finished it off with a cozy touch: this woven basket and knitted blanket I got from Target. That's it, you guys. I still can't believe how much this dresser transformed with just a little sanding and a simple paint wash. Let me know what you think in the comments and tell me, what would you have done differently? If you found this video helpful, let me know by leaving a like. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.